Hey guys, welcome to part 2. Apologize for that break in the video, but I'll give you the truth about it. My cell phone just randomly died on me. Didn't look at the battery like a dumbass before starting to record, and didn't notice that it was on like fucking 5% when I started probably. So it is what it is. At least it gave me a chance to grab a little something to drink so that I don't keep freaking having dry throat here. Anyway, where I left off, I was talking about, I do agree with the fact that there is a such thing as too young with starting on hormone replacement therapy. Yes, there is, in my opinion. And even if you are an adult, you should definitely be informed on the pros and the cons of hormone replacement therapy and the safest possible way, and look into what doctor you're going into long before you start these things. Know what you're walking into. That right there will lower the detransition rate. A lot of people also detransition because of culture shock. What culture shock is, in my opinion, like when you suddenly start getting discriminated on, when you suddenly start having to live among the other gender as the other gender. It will always be a shock to you. No matter how much you identify as that yourself, you've never truly got to live that out until you actually do. And that happened to me in the beginning, not in negative ways. Well, except discrimination, of course, but not in negative ways, just random stuff I noticed. Like, for example, women get changed or use the bathroom in front of each other, and men sure as hell don't do that kind of thing. Women show more emotion in front of each other. They'll compliment each other on what they're wearing in a really kind way. Men don't do them kind of things. You know, those are no-nos with guys, you know? Like, so random stuff I would notice and pick up on that I just wasn't used to at first. But I think that might be why the detransition rate is much higher on the female to male side. Because even though they show a lot faster with their hormone replacement therapy, they grow a beard almost immediately. They could just cut their hair right off. They start getting a deeper voice from the hormones, everything almost immediately. That's good for them, but then they have to deal with the brutality of life as a man and among men. And men can be fucking brutal about things. Like 99 times out of 100, when I get discriminated on in the streets, it's from guys, not females. They're much more accepting of things, especially with my personality, because I don't give them a reason to feel uncomfortable around me. I'm always respectful of their space. I would never be disrespectful of it. I always say, you can't truly say you identify as something if you don't show respect to that something you identify as. And like, for example, I won't even use the bathroom in public, not because I don't want to, but because I'm afraid I'll get into a confrontation if I go into the men's room, and I'm afraid I'm going to offend somebody in a women's room. So unless there's a private restroom, I don't even freaking use them in public, which sucks for me, but I just do that to make others comfortable. I always try and think of everyone else as much as myself and be considerate of their feelings too. That's why I try to make these videos and close the gap on segregation between people, like have people be more educated about transgenders so that maybe they'll understand them more, embrace everybody's differences more, like get to learn what that lifestyle is really about instead of just going by what they see in the media. Because facts are, most people out there that have an opinion just simply aren't educated on it. They never knew someone that's pursued that lifestyle. They never knew that lifestyle personally. So therefore, how can they really know much about it, like as far as what's really about? You know, like for example, a lot of people out there don't know that there's been scientific research done, and you can research this. There's been scientific research done post-mortemly on people that have struggled with being transgender their entire lives, on their brains, and they've discovered that I think it's the hypothalamus or something, but their brain is basically more identical to what they identify as than what they biologically are. So it's basically a case of your brain and your body literally don't match. Because this is another thing people commonly say. They'll be like, well, if you're dealing with all this discrimination and it's so difficult to transition, why don't you just stop? And it's really expensive and blah, 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 and all these other things. It's really bad for your body. It's like, that's almost like how they tell addicts to just stop. It's just like, it just don't work that way. Your brain is not chemically built to just stop. That's like, you can't change who you are with your personality, with your soul. You can't just stop those things. I prayed for years to God. I prayed to God for years because I didn't want to deal with discrimination. I didn't want to sign up to be a highly discriminated minority. The minority with the highest suicide rate in the world at 40-something% suicide attempt rates. Worldwide, not citywide, not statewide, worldwide. That means any culture, any country. 40-something%. What does that say? Something wrong there with society. But yeah, we can't just change our personalities, who we generally are as a person, because we're still going to want to be this way. Like, I would pray to God, like, please have me stop getting these thoughts in my head. But I just hated myself more and more. Hated that role that I was forced into more and more until something had to give. Unfortunately, I chose a positive way to deal with it. And that's why I deal with my transition in my own way too, regardless of what people say. Because I know I'll be looking damn good one day. I don't need nobody to reassure me of that. I know I already look good. I never said I look bad as a guy, but it's just not the role for me. It doesn't fit my personality. It doesn't fit my soul. It does not fit who I am, that male role at all. And besides, like, I love rocking some nice makeup, nice dress, everything, and like, I love the fact that I'm growing tits. I ain't gonna lie. Like, they be sore all the time. Like, I got little tiny anthills at this point, but I got some progress going. I mean, anytime I see progress, it literally like warms my heart because it feels like it's all worth it. Like, it just, being in that male role is just not me. Like, the things that guys do, all that stuff, it doesn't fit my persona at all. And I like people to see that, that transgender people, the ones that are really about being transgender and sincere about it, they can't change who they are as a person any more than the people talking shit can. That's just who we are. Like, and at least we're brave enough to do something about it and do something in a positive way. So, give us credit where it's due, or at least let us be, because like I said, the suicide rate is high enough. And it's actually another statistic that people that are accepted where they're from have over 66% less of a suicide attempt rate. So it shows society's treatment of transgender people highly depends on the suicide rate. That shows that all these people out there that are talking shit, they can make a difference by not talking shit. That could save lives. These people are good people out there, a lot of them. And they're hurting for no reason. We already hate what we were born as and hate ourselves enough as it is. Don't make us hate ourselves more than we already freaking do. That's the only thing I say in that area. Like, have a fucking heart. You expect us to respect your ways, well, please respect ours in the process. That's all I could say to that. But, in all seriousness, this is something that I really hope that people consider out there because it can save lives. Next time you see someone that, even if they look like a joke, or even if they look like a circus act, which I've personally been called several times in public, like, don't say it to them. Like, let them be, This is like a stranger off the street. What they do to you, if they don't say nothing to you, then there's no reason to start something. Like, and then, people out there have the nerve to say we're the ones with a mental disorder and who are insane and living in a fantasy. Well, who got the mental disorder that's harassing a fucking stranger that didn't do nothing to them? It's no better than when people were racist against black people, Hispanic people, other minorities, stuff like that. that kind of stuff, the way that that's looked at is wrong nowadays. They need to look at transgenders the same way. We shouldn't be falling through the cracks of the system like we are, because the law may be written one way, but where I'm from, it's definitely enforced another way. I can tell you that much from experience. And it's really fucked up. Like, I have to get serious over this because this can literally save lives. It's like, stop harassing, these transgender people. The same people that, like, half of the motherfuckers that be harassing them out there usually have something hidden themselves. Let me tell you that also from experience. Like, these things are all true facts right here. And I'm speaking from experience. This isn't just hearsay. This is actual experience. And half of these people out there that talk the most shit are usually hiding a little something themselves. I actually had an experience with somebody who would talk shit about transgender people, and then one time they asked me to actually give them a BJ, which I didn't end up doing because I was like, dude, you're gonna talk shit on me in front of your homeboys, and then you gonna ask me for a BJ in private? No, now you the one getting shut down and made a fool of. I'm like, nope, ain't happening. Then, we're the ones called being living in a fantasy, when they're the ones that aren't brave enough to tell the truth about themselves. At least we're telling the truth about who we are. I don't call that living a fantasy. Like, I look at it like I'm being upfront about who I am. I can't speak for every transgender person in the world, but I am being upfront about who I am, what I'm about, what I'm doing. Anytime someone has a question, just ask me. If I didn't cover a certain subject, just ask me about it. I will give you the direct 100% honest answer on everything I love. And I look at it like, so I got nothing to hide there. I ain't living no fantasy. As a matter of fact, I'm living my truth for the first time in my life. And even though I catch a lot of shit in the streets because of it, and I get made a joke of all the time, I still wouldn't take it back for nothing in the world. I'd be lying if I didn't say that coming out as trans was literally the hardest thing I ever had to do. I was more scared than I ever been about anything, and that says a lot because I've had guns held to my head. So I was more scared of than that. And like, coming out was the hardest thing I ever had to do, but I don't regret it for anything in the world, because for once in my life I don't have to hold back on things. I have things to look forward to, and like, I'm living my truth. I'm living as who I am. That's why I'm not trying to be extra hyper feminine like some trans people are, like the stereotypical type or nothing, because I'm just being me. I'm not doing this for no one but me, and I'm just glad that the closest people to me back me up on it. Because I even get made a joke of in the streets. Like, just a couple of weeks ago, I was hanging with a friend of mine. We go to Wawa. She tells me after we go into the car, like, oh yeah, I saw people looking at you with, like, hateful looks and whatnot, and it's fucked up. And I was like, I didn't even notice. Like, because I usually just get in and out of stores. I hate going into them, because I already know what people think. I've had plenty of shit said to me. I've been thrown out of businesses before. And it's humiliating. It's dehumanizing. And it shouldn't have to be that way. We ain't living in the 1950s no more. Like, everybody should accept everybody for who they are. Look at people for their character, not what's on the outside, not what they're wearing, not none of that shit, not what race they are. Look at them for nothing more, nothing less than their actual character. And then you'll get somewhere. Then make your judgment after you realize who they are as a person. Because we ain't all the same. Like, and it's because of all this false information that people are uncomfortable around trans people. Like, I've been in facilities, housed with women and stuff. And, like, at first, I would have instances where, like, they would feel uncomfortable around me. But once they got to know me and know that they were truly safe around me, and I didn't think any differently than any other female out there, I just looked different. Like, they were instantly change of opinion. Like, so it's like, that's all it takes. It just takes a couple of minutes to get to know somebody. Get to read them, get to know what they're about, read their mannerisms, get to know their personality a little bit. And you realize whether you're dealing with a good person or a bad person. Because we're definitely not all bad, or these kind of things wouldn't be legal in the first place. It's definitely not all bad results, or it wouldn't be legal in the first place. It's just the bad shit just tends to be what makes the best news in the media. That's what it is. Like, and they want to make a fool of us. But facts are, there's a lot of false shit out there. Like, for example, if these surgeries had such negative results, if the detransition rates were so high, these things wouldn't be illegal. I mean, they wouldn't be legal in the first place. And I'm sorry if I'm stumbling over my words so much in both of these videos, but I tend to have my ADHD moments and I have high anxiety, especially when I'm talking about such serious subjects. But, yeah, just, get to know people. I've literally changed people's opinions who were uncomfortable around trans people quite a few times. Because I had that down-to-earth, caring personality to me. And when they got to know me, they even told me directly, like, I didn't know what to think of you at first. I'm not normally comfortable around, men and shit like that. But you're not like a regular guy. And I'm like, yeah, you're right, I'm not. I'm like, thank you for not acknowledging me like a regular guy. And, we would have talks about these things. And I'm always open to answer whatever personal questions people ask me, honestly. And they see them answering honestly. What I always say is real recognizes real. And one thing you'll get real quick about me is I'm always 100% real. So, like, I would change people's opinions in reality. And that made me feel good. Knowing that, like, I had them realize that it's not all the same. It's not all the TV makes it out to be. We don't all look the same. Transgender people aren't just transitioning so that they can creep into the other gender's locker rooms or, be housed with them or things like that. That's not what we're doing it for. We wouldn't go on hormone therapy and change our whole body for that shit. Trust me, I never had problems getting action before I transitioned. I didn't need to do all that crap. But yeah, if someone does do that, I'm sorry, but they're beyond sick, in my opinion. Like, if they would actually alter their own body permanently just to get potential action with someone, that's pretty sick and pretty desperate. So that's all I have to say about that. They would be better off rubbing one out, in my opinion. But I don't know. I've never heard of a trans person actually doing that in my personal experiences, but I'm sure there is at least a couple out there in the world who do. I wouldn't be surprised. But I don't know. I'm just saying these are common myths that all tend to go around, and I'm just trying to have people know what the reality of things are, at least in my personal experiences with my own life and people I've talked to. Like I said in the beginning of the first video, just my experiences. I'm not speaking for every transgender you'll ever meet or talk to, because facts are there are bad apples in every group or every minority you will ever come across, and there are good apples. And that's just how it is. Like, if you could find me a minority or a group out there that has no bad apples in it, please feel free to tell me, because I've yet to come across any. I don't know. Hopefully I taught you guys a little something extra today, and hopefully I might have opened up people's eyes a little bit to things, how things really are. If they have any questions about anything, whether it's scientific, cultural, experience-based, whatever, any questions, I'm more than willing to answer. I've done a lot of research on these topics. I've obviously lived it in my own personal experience. I've even been housed as both a male and a female in facilities and stuff in the past. So, I could distinguish the differences in the culture, any questions a person could possibly have to further educate them on these topics. As long as their intentions are well and they ask me respectfully, I'm more than willing to answer. That's why I make these videos, to hopefully close the gap on all the separateness in this world, so that people realize that humanity is humanity. We should all be acting as one. We should all be cooperating as one, and this world would be a much better place. Don't nitpick and judge people at the little differences that you see in them. Just because they chose a different path in life than you, don't make them any less valuable than you. We are all equal in this world. We are all equal under God's eyes. And that's how it should be looked at. Whether you're faithful in God or not, whether you're religious or not, look at it like we are all equal anyway. I don't deserve any more of an opportunity than anybody else. No one else deserves any more of an opportunity than me. We're all equal. We all deserve the same opportunities. Unfortunately, many people don't get those opportunities because of shit like this. I've almost not been housed in places where I needed to be housed in before because I was transgender. And this is real facts. That actually happened to me just a couple of months ago. So, I mean, that's a long story that I'll save for another time. But that actually really happened to me. I was this close to not being able to be housed in a place that I desperately needed to be housed for a short time. And it was just for the simple fact I was transgender, and a staff member in that place had actually confirmed it to me. But yeah, once they got to know me, they even said I probably made it much easier for the next one because I had such a down-to-earth and good personality to me, and because I was so trustworthy, like, and stuff like that. So hopefully I did. Like, hopefully it'll make a difference in that person's life, and hopefully they won't make it hard on the next one, because you never know, they might come across a